Okay, dudes and dudettes and dudettes, if you're hermaphrodite. Hey, this is video number two of the psychological psychopath thing of the psychopath psychotherapists slash psychologists. It's my opinion, based on what they believe in, um, as people are what they are obedient to, based on what they are obedient to. They are psychopaths. A psychopath is somebody who treats somebody and sees somebody as an object. Jeffrey Dahmer, for instance, trained himself to be a psychopath. So he would just simply see objects and people as objects. So he's able to dismember and take apart people's body parts. Another example of a psychopath, when people sees people as objects, is when the licensed therapist, the ones with experience. We'll talk about that word too. And the psychologists or whatever they were, that people who were administering lobotomies to people, that is an extreme evil act, an evil thing to do. That's not a little hiccup. That's not a little embarrassment in a society. That's extremely evil to do that to a human being. But it could be readily done and easily done if you see a person as an object, like they do, like they're trained themselves to do. Like I said, um, people are what they are obedient to, and if this group is getting people to act like treat and see people as objects, then by definition that's a psychopath, and they're very extremely harmful. Let me explain what happened to me in a psychopath manner by this group, treated as a psychopath manner by this group. Um, is that let me get right to it. I fell in love with this person, not just her, but also what she's about, who she is inside. Not as a therapist. She has money, but I love her not for her money. It's not about money. I love her for who she is inside. I don't want her to be a therapist. I don't care about her money. I don't care if she loses all of her money or her house. I consider her, because as she's with this group, I consider her lost, acting abnormal by what she's obedient to, and I fell in love with her father. I fell in love with her family, and there's what they're extremely weirdo, whacked out ethics, very abnormal. Uh, they would deem it, or they say it's not right for me and her, or me to be with her, be together, to be with her family, to be with her dad. They would say that's not right for him. That's not good. That's not right. And yet, there's nothing wrong with loving somebody. There's nothing wrong with wanting a family. There's nothing wrong with loving a father if you don't have a father, if you don't have a family. And then to want to support somebody or love somebody or be with somebody. You know what's wrong? They are wrong. They are extremely whacked out. That caused me extreme harm. It was supposed to be for my safety. No, it's not for my safety. It's not for my safety at all. It never was and never will be. Doing things that are normal and beautiful and loving and natural and good. Those things are for my safety and for my brain, for my well being, not what they were saying. Um, is they're extremely lost, extremely psychotic. They're extreme psychopaths, according to what they are obedient to. And the people that made this thing, this really weirdo thing, that's extremely harmful for people. Anyway, that happened. And I said to her one time, I said, "You're treating me like a science experiment here." And you know what she said? She said something very profound. Now, here's somebody beyond 7 years of schooling, and then so many hours of, like, I guess you could say, your tenure, trying to fulfill or accomplish your tenure that you're given. Excuse me, I got a thing in my eye besides my finger. And uh, so here's all experience. Here's a person with experience, and it can be experience based on someone's opinion. experience of doing something extremely wrong or harmful for the last 200 years. But experience doing it the wrong way. But experience, which isn't really, it's a current to me a really stupid argument. If you're doing something extremely wrong and harmful, you have 200 years of doing it the wrong way. So experience of something extremely harmful is something that you don't want to claim. And my advice to her and others that are psychotherapists: don't don't pull the experience card as you're doing something extremely super stupid and harmful and evil. And yet some of it is smart. I'll go with that. And oh no, I'll go with a lot of it smart. But it's very unwise and irresponsible in this manner. When you get emotionally bonded to somebody and you treat them like an object, you treat them like a business, like she did to me, it was extremely harmful. It's not for my protection, it's the protection of the business. She said something very profound when I said, "You're treating me like a science experiment." And I could have used the word, "You're treating me like an object." Those words could be interchangeable. And this is what the profound thing that she said. "But you're not a science experiment." Okay, just think about that. Think about what her response could have been. Just think about the weight that that response carries over with it. Here's a person that says, that she's for my protection. She's for my mental health. She's supposed to have experience and training in, well, not supposed to, but it's implied that she has experience and training since it's based on opinion, it's not. It's such what a really strange response for somebody. "But you're not a science experiment. You're hurting me, but hurting you is bad." Okay. Now, I know I'm not a science experiment. You know that I'm not a science experiment. And some people might have you figured that out. What could have been her response? "I'm sorry. That's really bad. I'm not going to treat you like that anymore. I'm going to treat you like a human being, not an object, not a science experiment, but somebody that's a loving individual, as we are, and I am emotionally bonded to her." And it sometimes she felt like crying sometimes, but her training was to hide it. So you're supposed to force her. She's supposed to force herself not to cry. She was forcing. She's making her a face not to cry. She's trying not to cry. But I was like, why are you acting disingenuous? Why are you acting fake? Why are you acting abnormal? If you want to cry, cry. My association with her as to how they wanted me to, how they wanted us to be, that makes no sense. Why couldn't we just act normal? But how they wanted us to act, it was just abnormal. My association was very abnormal. She wouldn't sit with me at certain times. She wouldn't. I was at a table one time and she wasn't sitting with me, and she didn't. I invited her to do some things and she wouldn't go. And then I reflected on some of the ethics that they have, and they have ethics. And if I was to recite the ethics, why don't you go ahead and research some of the ethics of psychotherapists? They are way off base. They're extremely abnormal. And let me point out, face value, you're not going to act normal when people are asking you and getting you to act abnormal. Here, we're going to try to help you. We're going to try to get you to act normal. But here's these things that we have devised, their ethics. This is where we're going to end up and act real abnormal and be deranged and be highly dysfunctional in society. But we're going to get you to act functional. But here, act dysfunctional. We're going to get you to act normal. But here, act very, very abnormal. Okay, no. You will never, ever act normal through abnormalities or when somebody's trying to get you to act abnormal. It is an impossible state to act normal, and they're asking you to act and be abnormal. She forced herself to cry, not cry. And I was upset. Why don't you be one with me? Why don't you just be real? If you feel like crying, cry. And I asked another therapist. She said, "Well, there's something called transference." And transference, I said, "Well, what's that?" It's when if she is suffering or she has something, somebody that they don't want to transfer what's wrong, could be wrong with them, to transfer to you. And then so maybe that's why she wasn't crying, or she was forcing herself not to cry. And I was like, okay, don't you do group therapy? Don't you have like a group of 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 people where they're all sharing different things that happened to them? So that's okay. So the 1,000 pieces of the could be possible transference from these other 10 or 20 or 30 people in group therapy. That's okay. So there's like some kind of exclusion or some kind of a exclusionary rule to this. No, so I wasn't buying that, and I just thought that person. Let me point out that I was asking that about. She had like once again 7 years of school to figure this out, or to say that, to come across that um, determination, and she had, I don't know, a year or two or more already been involved in the practice, and her mind is kind of like gone concerning that. She didn't really make that much sense at all. That was kind of, I guess it was over her head. And I'm not a therapist, but I can do way better than that. I thought that was kind of screwy. Anyway, I'm going to tell you about my reaction as to what I had up and beyond this relationship of being treated like an object. I'm going to show you how an object feels. A person that I'm not an object. But I'm going to tell you what happened. An extremely horrible thing happened. And it's been about 12 minutes now. I'm going to go to what could be considered video 3. I might compile all these up into one video, so you can just watch it all the way through. But I'm splitting it up into about, I guess you could say, 12-minute segments, to make it so people can watch another video and perhaps save time. And I'm trying to be mindful of people's time and not make this like an hour-long video. Okay, I'm going to go to video number 3. This is video number 2. Over and out. I'm going to explain. This is just the beginning. I know people may think that, oh, you're psychotic. Let me explain. Okay, I can understand going there. Give me room to explain. Thank you very much. Okay, to video number 3.